Hey! These are some of the cables for hooking battery to battery in parallel. I don't actually hook them up together in series. You don't actually need cables this beefy for that. I want to talk about a couple things in this video. Top recommendation, and these are things that I actually use myself. I don't have any sponsorship on this light or the other light here I'm about to talk about. And it's not paid sponsorship. I actually do get bunny points, which allowed me to grab another free $100 charge controller from Power Queen. So it's not sponsorship. Well, it's not a paid sponsorship, but it's technically a sponsorship, so that's full disclosure. Anyway, I stuck my own money in it. So I would never ever recommend anything that I haven't actually used extensively or stuck my own money into. I have a 5-pack of these. This is a new one. I got a couple of these down at my cabin, and I have one in my back room back there for emergencies. It's got a USB connection on this end for hooking into a power source, like a little battery pack, and I've got a lot of different ones. Nearly all of them actually have USB output. This is the most incredible light I've ever seen. Actually, a 5-pack. I should have opened up my iPad. I'll actually edit that out of this video. These are $12, but a 5-pack is only $55. That's why I have a couple of these that are unopened from VOLTAIC Systems. He'll actually go into the back jungles and whatnot, and they want reliable backup power supply. Little compact units use VOLTAIC. Yeah, $12. It's called a Touchlight. You can see the little LED array back here, but the actual screen itself is touch sensitive. When you tap it, it will actually change power outputs. It's actually a really wide gradation on power outputs. See, I've used these for years. They're the most incredible thing ever. Each one of these is 12 bucks. Like again, a 5-pack for 55 bucks. I'll put the link below on this to VOLTAIC. It's called a Touchlight. If you hold your finger on it, it'll actually gradate down in power output and back up again to maximum output, or you could just simply tap it to change output levels. Absolutely incredible. Super low power usage on these. Quite phenomenal output. So if you want to stick it directly over your head somehow and hang it from a wire, which is what I've got over my bed in my cabin, you know, you could bring it down to whatever level you want for reading a book. It's usually a problem with lights. It's either too bright or too dim. You could adjust this to any way that you want. USB powered Touchlight there by VOLTAIC. This is mostly for people that actually use DeWalt power tools, which of course if you have a DeWalt power tool, you have DeWalt battery packs. But even if I wasn't an extensive DeWalt user, and I have like 22 or 23 DeWalt tools, and I have like 20 DeWalt batteries, I would still actually buy one of these, knowing what I know now, and I've used it for years. This is called the DeWalt DCL 043. It actually has a push button here on the grip, and it has 2 power outputs, medium and really high output, and it actually has a swiveling head. I've used more lights than most people out there. These are actually very incredible. You take any DeWalt light, doesn't have to be one of the large flex volts, plug it in. Here it is on high output, and there's medium, and there's off. For power outages, for illuminating a wide area and a long distance, and an incredible runtime. Of course, this one is, I think, yeah, 6 amp hour flex volt, but I have used these with just regular non-flex volt 5 amp hour, 4 amp hour, and even 2 amp hour batteries. Runtime on it's incredible. It's an LED. They're like $90 online. If you go to like Lowe's or Home Depot, they're like $110, but absolutely incredible. And there's also too a hook here for hanging it. You can hang it off a hook. Once again, you can tilt it anyway. It's very lightweight itself with the battery not attached, of course. It doesn't really weigh anything, just the light. Absolutely love the heck out of these. By the way, I'm not, I love the environment and I love trees. I mean, I guess I could technically say I'm a tree hugger. But I don't pretend to, you know, be a member of Greenpeace or anything like that. I don't pretend to be any kind of enviro warrior. A lot of people have this crazy mindset that if you're interested in backup redundancy power or solar, you're some sort of eco enthusiast on some front, and that's just not true. I am not one. It has everything to do with independence and safety. There's a few different paradigms, of course. One of them is power, protein, and protection. I'll let you guess what protection is. Protein, of course, meaning food. One of them is being power. Now, I've actually had more power outages this year than I've had the 20-plus years that I've lived in Lexington. And it's actually, I've talked to a lot of people, they're actually shocked as well. It's like, well, they're upgrading the power grid here in Lexington. That may or may not be the case. That causes issues with my computer. I actually have a 200 amp hour running continuous power from an inverter to my computer so that I don't have to suffer, you know, my computer crashing and my work potentially being lost. I got a couple 200 amp hours back here. These are 44 pounds. I have 4 of these, 2 of them up at the cabin, 2 of them here. I have 2 300 amp hours. I got one right over there. It's just too big to put on the table. It's actually only about 20% bigger than this Power Queen 12.8 volt 200 amp hours. This is a LiFePO or lithium iron phosphate battery. They have a super, yes, I said that 3 times, sale going on. I do get bunny points, but I'm not, you know, being, I'm not, nobody is, I guess I'm not sponsored, but I get bunny points for getting some free gear, like I got a free 100 amp foldable solar panel and another charge controller, which is $94. So just for full disclosure, but anyway, I sunk my own money into this equipment. Right now, the charge controller, I'd like to show it to you in a second, is $95. I have a lot of Renogy charge controllers, including Renogy inverters. I still believe in Renogy inverters. There's actually a 200 watt inverter sold by Power Queen that I'm not going to say I don't recommend, but the Renogy ones are a little tougher and essentially the same price. So I do recommend the Renogy power inverters, but their charge controllers are better made and better heat sinked than Renogy's, and they are tougher made than Renogy. By the way, here's something else. A lot of you, and this is the wise way to think about it, depending on whether it's home or mobile, is that you don't want to necessarily, a lot of people don't, hook up your solar panels unless the blackout is prolonged. Constantly having your solar panels outside, and the foldable ones are not meant to be left outside. They're not meant like regular glass surfaced solar panels, which are meant to be left outside all the freaking time. So what you do is you charge up. You can't use a regular 12-volt battery charger on a lithium battery. I don't know if I can emphasize that enough. You can get one of the little warty ones that have a selection for lithium charging. They're like $69. You can get them at like CarQuest, and what's another goofy store where you can get various car cleaning stuff. They have chargers there that you can choose between lithium iron phosphate and lead acid, and I forget the third one, which nobody uses hardly anymore. Anyway, it's like $69. But if you try to charge up, and these will all come with about a 50 to 60% charge, which is where lithiums like to sit, and that's how they're kept for storage. It'll take 6 days. I've done it before. 6 or 7 days to charge just a 200 amp hour bunny like this one. The actual one, I'll put the link below as well. The 20 amp hour, they have a 10 amp hour and a 40 amp hour, which I have a 40, not a 40 amp hour, excuse me, a 40 amp charger, and this is a 20 amp charger. The 10 is about 30% smaller than this. This one currently, the 20 amp charger is $140 on sale. This will let you charge up from about 5 or 10%, which you really don't want to take a lithium that low. However, these will tell you that you can. However, all lithiums are the case. They don't like to be fast discharge. They don't like to be deep discharge. No lithium does, regardless of what any company says. If any company says, oh, you can take ours down to 0. Well, you can, and what you should do are 2 different things. This will let you charge this from about 10% in about 6 hours on the 20 amp charger. This is $140. This is specifically for charging a lithium. So you don't hook up a regular 12 volt battery charger like for your lead-acid car battery to one of these babies, unless you intentionally want to harm, of course, your lithium battery pack. So I have a link below for this. I have a bunch of these solar panels, and it actually comes with a cover. I have the cover off of here right now. It's a cover slash carry handle. There it is right here. Each side is 50 watts, total of 100 watt solar. There's the little energy connectors in here for the RC4 connectors for solar. They're actually held together via magnets in the handle. I don't need to unfurl it, but in total here you have 100 watts of solar. There's also a kickstand on the back, which is better than the other 100 watts, which don't come with a kickstand. They're right back here. You can see them. The actual connectors for the charger and the little instruction booklet and the RC4 connectors are in here. I think these weigh about, what, 7 or 8 pounds? Anyway, there's that one. But these are not meant to be kept outside. So, like, if you need it for emergency, people don't want to hook up their solar. Like, if you only have these for when the power is out for prolonged periods of time, and then you want to, of course, recharge it because you have no power, that's great. But for keeping your battery charged periodically when you do have power, for emergency, obviously, and you don't want to hook up your solar, which is logical and rational and the easy, lazy way of doing it, you want an actual lithium charger. Anyway, they have a sale on right now on the 200 amp hours, which is half the price of what you used to have to pay not very long ago for 100 amp hour. And these are lithium iron phosphates, by the way. They're extremely safe relative to older, and by older I mean, you know, half a year ago older lithium ion batteries. Since these are LiFePOs, lithium iron phosphates, for $480 on sale. They're 44 pounds on these. The 300 amp hours are 64 pounds. I got one right over there, and I got one in the basement. And the 100 watt solar panels are $95 currently on sale. It's not for running your hair dryer. Not that you couldn't run a hair dryer off of it, but you know, computer, refrigerator backup for your medicine, communication, travel, radio charging, fan, battery charging. Like, I actually recharge my DeWal batteries using my quick charger for my 200 amp hour, and those power my power tools. And also to all the batteries for my framing nailer and grinder, weed whacker, reciprocating saw, framing nailer, air compressor, on and on and on. I mean, there's an enormous plethora of DeWalt battery power tools, obviously, as you know. Battery charging, emergency gear, mini refrigerator, lighting system. A 200 amp hour uncharged and not connected to a solar system for recharging and charge control and inverter. You have like 4 or 5 of these lights and a mini fridge. You could go for days. My buddy, his cabin, which is identical to mine, I've shown you pictures and video of my cabin. His whole cabin runs off of just one 200 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery. His refrigerator, his lights, his vacuum, TV, VCR, on and on and on and on. Not a heating system, of course. Not an air conditioning system, of course. High amperage, high drain sources like that off of an inverter. You need a lot of batteries. I mean, it's everything to keep you alive and to keep you comfy and to keep you happy. That's the easy way of thinking, unless you're talking about a major array of batteries, just everything to keep you comfy and happy. Anyway, with the the lithium charge controller, like the 20 amp, really all you need is a 10 amp, but for a little bit more money, the 20 amp is significantly faster. I used to have a 10 amp, I actually gave it to my dad. That one is a 20 amp. They make a 40 amp, which is a huge honker. I got it over there. It's about 3 times that size. I don't need to charge it that fast. When you actually get the battery, someone was telling me in live stream that they've had it in the box for like a year and a half. And it's not coming out of the box. It's like, you don't do that. When you get these suckers, you're like, well, I got it for emergency. No, you take it out of the box. You charge it 100%. Read the instruction manual. They will tell you every one of them, no matter who makes it. And I've seen these apart. to take it out of the box and charge it. You don't stick it in the corner in the box. Well, I've got it now. That's all it needs. Like, no, it needs to be charged. These only come with a 50 to 60% charge on them. And they should be charged up. And also, to charge periodically. Refer to the owner's manual on that. So this has nothing to do with environmentalism. Anyway, the price is ridiculously cheap. $712 for the 300 amp hour, which is 64 pounds, and $480 on a 200 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery. Like these two that are back. That is crazy cheap. Excuse me, got a frog in my throat there. Let me know if you have any questions. I have the links to these batteries below. I get bunny points, but I'm not endorsing anything that I have no. These are not affiliate links on the VOLTAIC light or the DeWal light. Not at all. I mean, I don't get a single penny if you click on the links for these. Okay, nothing. I don't get anything if you click on the links for the Power Queen stuff either. Oh, I forgot. I got to take out the Power Queen. These will actually, they're 30 amp one. They actually increased it to handle 12 volts, 450 watts input. That's a little bit over two of course, the 200-watt solar panels, which each 200-watt solar panel is about yay big. I got 8 of those in the basement. In this house, no exaggeration, I got a bunch of solar panels at my cabin. In this house alone, I got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, another 6, something over 20 solar panels. Literally. Also, too, invented a unique kickstand, which allows for super, super fast install and retraction, and just bring it inside the house. It actually folds up. This is way better than Renogy's charge controllers. They're tougher made, they're better made, they come with more parts and instructions. Here you go. It actually uses this as a template for installing on the wall. Actually, I install these on a rolling rack. And I put my charge controller, my inverter, on the rack with all the cabling needed to go from my solar panel to the charge controller, and from the charge controller to the batteries, and yeah. You just take a piece of wood and you get a double set of wheels at Lowe's or Home Depot, screw on the bottom. I cut a handle in the top of it and I make this rolling rack that has a charge controller. I've shown it in video before, a charge controller and inverter on it. Here you go with that. There we go with that. You get this really, really neat parts kit, and this is a temperature sensor in here. All the little screws. The Renogy doesn't come with this. This is way cheaper. This is the best. If you get nothing else, at least get a 200 amp hour or 300 amp hour battery, and the Power Queen. And this is an MPPT charge controller, by the way. The fins on this, and the construction, and the toughness, and the simplicity of these. I have 3 of these. Yes, I did get a free one of these from Bunny Points. You know, full disclosure. Here's the back of the cooling fans. Here's your solar. Here's your load, your lighting, and this is the hook up to the battery. Super, super simple. A blind person can learn how to use it. All you have to do is screw in your photovoltaics and screw in your battery. You don't actually have to screw in a load. This is for your temperature sensor socket right here, which is wherever I laid that down. Plugs in right there. That goes on the top of your battery for temperature sensing to feed information back to the charge controller. Comes with the template for installing it. It's a really tough sucker. $95 currently on sale. Better than Renogy's charge controller. Now, Renogy does have like the Rover 60 amp, which will take more 12-volt photovoltaic input. This is a maximum of 450 watts photovoltaic, 12-volt input, 450. Yeah, so that's a little over 2 of the 200-watt solar panels. Yep. Or 1 of the 320 watts, which I have several of there in the hallway. And what was it? 320, 450, another 100, yeah, so, yeah, 1 320 watt and an additional 100 watt polycrystalline solar panel. Anyway, these are great. Renogy's aren't made anywhere near this well. 95 bucks. Couple of these, because redundancy is God. That's my saying. Not literally God, okay, redundancy is God. 95 bucks on these. Everybody keeps asking why, and here's the reason why. I'll make it brief. And the single units that have everything in them, they're really, really heavy. You know, they got 2 carry handles on either side of them. But they're great for portability, because everything is in one except for the solar panels. But this means when you have everything in one box, when one thing fails, everything turns to poo. Get that? When you actually have everything separate, and I teach a blind person how to do this, you just hook up right here. You got your leads for your solar panel, output to your battery, and then your battery goes to an inverter. When you have separate things here, everything is separate. It's like, oh, okay, my charge controller failed. For example, assuming it did. Well, that doesn't affect your battery. That doesn't affect your inverter. It's like, well, one point failed. On the boxes and all those boxes are the same. They have the battery inside them, not a very big one. Even the really big ones, they still don't have a big-ass battery in them. The battery's in there, the charge controller, and the inverter is in there. They basically took three things and they crammed it into one box. Wonderful! Means all you have to do is just plug your junk, your solar into the one box, and your output to power your devices off of it. And that means if it fails, everything in there is failed. Call that single-point failure. Chain is only strong as its weakest link, right? Well, if you're able to take one link out that potentially fails, like your inverter, your charge controller, or your battery, saves you money, saves you time. So that's the reason why those things are really handy, but ultimately this is a better idea. The inverter is not much bigger than this, a 2,000 watt, 2,000 watt inverter is only about 20% bigger than this, and that's either from Power Queen, but I recommend the Renogy inverter, actually. About 20% bigger than this at 2,000 watt. Pure sine wave inverter, by the way. But grab one or two of these. I love the 300 amp hour batteries. They're not that much bigger. They are another 20 pounds. But it's just a killer steal on these at $480 for 200. Like I said, my buddy runs his whole damn cabin off of just one of these. The whole cabin. So, what's going on in the world, and I don't pretend to be a prepper, I believe in being prepared, and I've thought about it years and years and years and years, and my whole life, really. More so than most people. Having redundancy for power and backup power for all the things to keep you comfortable. Ain't going to power your hair dryer, well it would, but not for very long. Ain't going to do your hair dryer, not going to do your air conditioner, not going to do your heating system, but everything else that keeps you comfy and happy and snug as a bug in a rug. Your computer, your refrigerator, your communications, travel necessity powers, radio, fan, battery charging, emergency gear, lighting system, on and on and on. It covers all of that. Okay? I hold no delusion. The only way you're going to cover your hair dryer and your air conditioner, your large BTU sucking air conditioner, your heating system, is if you have like a lot of these. And by a lot, I mean a lot. Like a lot. And also, too, an enormous array of solar panels covering both sides of your roof. And I can't stand when people put solar panels on the roof. I hated it. It wrecks the roof, and if a hailstorm comes, like a hailstorm's coming, my way, the kickstands fold up, you bring them inside, they're on the roof, they get hit, and they're wrecked up on your roof, and you got to get up on the roof again to replace them. Oh, the heck with that. No. No. It's like, where else you going to put it? In your backyard, in an array? Anyway, that's a personal choice for empirical demonstrable reason. Anyway, I hope you like this video. The links for all of this stuff is below. I get no remuneration of any kind for the VOLTAIC or the DeWal light, but I get bunny points. But I put my own money into it, and I stand by it 100%. I would never recommend anything that I actually don't believe in and spent money on myself. So thanks so much for watching, and Happy New Year. If any time ever when you need emergency backup power, it's what's going to happen going forward. I'll let you figure out what that means. If you got 5 brain cells, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Wink, wink. Lux Veritas, Happy New Year. Watch out on the tonsil varnish. Don't drink too much of it and drive unsafely. Preferably not at all. Happy New Year.